It has been nearly a decade since the Ferguson Commission released its report. In its findings, the Commission provided 189 calls to action in 4 major priority areas that we at 4 Through Ferguson work to make sure are not forgotten. Youth at the center, opportunity to thrive, justice for all, and racial equity. This year, the most common question we've been asked is, what progress has been made 10 years since the Ferguson uprising? Let's break it down. Youth at the center means just that, putting our youth, their well-being, and the support we provide them at the center of the movement towards racial equity and larger systems change. One of the Commission's calls to action in this space was to eliminate the option of out-of-school suspension, or OSS, for children pre-K through the 3rd grade. In our region, in the 2015 to 16 school year, Black students were 6 times more likely to receive OSS than their white peers. However, when looking across race, gender, and disability status, the data showed much higher disparities. Black boys with disabilities had the highest OSS rates in our region, with them being 25.8 times more likely to receive OSS than white girls without a disability. These disparities lessened in the 2017 to 18 school year, with several school districts in our region committing to not utilizing OSS for children in pre-K through 3rd grade and instituting trauma-informed and restorative justice practices. However, the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic brought new challenges. As part of a series we released called Still Compromising, the disparate impact of COVID-19 in St. Louis, we found that Black residents in both St. Louis City and St. Louis County were 3.5 times more likely to have no internet connection as compared to their white peers. A large concentration of those without internet were found north of Delmar, adding to the already existing Delmar divide and creating new racial disparities in education access. Opportunity to Thrive is centered around the elimination of systemic barriers to financial mobility and success. One of the calls to action in this pillar area was to increase the minimum wage. The city of St. Louis voted to increase the minimum wage in 2017, but the Missouri legislature passed a law saying no city could exceed the minimum wage set by the state. This law is still in effect, and the current minimum wage is $12 an hour, which is hardly a living wage. Medicaid expansion was another call to action in the report. This was added to Missouri's constitution as a ballot measure in 2020. However, the end of the COVID-19 pause on eligibility renewals resulted in the number of Missouri Health Net enrollees dropping from just over 1.5 million in March of 2023 to 1.26 million in June of 2024. In the same time frame, the number of children enrolled dropped by over 130,000. The calls to action under Justice for All focused on policing and the justice system. In an effort to understand how our current public safety system is being utilized, FTF created the Transforming 911 report. The report looked at over 1.7 million calls made to St. Louis County PD in a 5-year time span. In that time, the vast majority of calls were not for major crimes. The most common category of a resident-initiated 911 call was for service, which encompasses things that are typically non-criminal, such as answering a burglar alarm, following up on a call about an ordinance violation, or checking on property. Additionally, several people shared that they had excessive wait times to a response after a 911 call, with some people waiting hours to get help. We hope to use this information to envision a new public safety system that can provide expedient, targeted, and compassionate care and reduce negative interactions with the police and carceral system. In pursuit of calls to action focused on civilian review, FTF and several organizations part of the Defund, Re-Envision, Transform Coalition did major advocacy around a bill called Community Control Over Police Surveillance, or CCOPS. The bill was designed to ensure transparency and accountability on the usage of police surveillance technologies, and it was passed by the Board of Aldermen earlier this year. While racial equity stands on its own as a signature priority area, it also serves as the through line through all the others. One of the calls to action was to have an endowed racial equity fund. A pilot named the Racial Healing and Justice Fund was established by FTF, Deaconess Foundation, Missouri Foundation for Health, with thought leadership from Empower Institute in 2020. Over $1.35 million has been granted to Black and people of color-led initiatives that directly address community wellness, access to quality mental health support, capacity building, public safety, social innovation, and more. Over 3 grant cycles, 77 awards have been made to approximately 70 organizations and initiatives. However, more funding and philanthropy is needed to support Black and people of color-led organizations. According to a report published by the Young, Black, and Giving Back Institute in 2023, Black-led and Black-benefiting nonprofits operate with lower budgets, with 77% of the 227 nonprofits surveyed operating on a budget of less than $500,000 a year. 31% of nonprofits surveyed operated on budgets of $30,000 or less. Additionally, there have recently been attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) funding initiatives. In June of this year, a court issued a preliminary injunction towards a $20,000 small business grant program to Black women entrepreneurs organized by the Fearless Fund. Since then, DEI programs at various institutions have come under attack, with several being disbanded. As a reminder, Forth Through Ferguson is not a DEI organization, but we are an anti-racist systems change organization in the business of transformation. And that's where you come in. We didn't stop back in 2014, and we're not stopping anytime soon. We need all hands, all hearts, and all minds toward our shared vision, a transformed St. Louis region where, regardless of race and zip code, there is justice for all, the opportunity to thrive, and boundless possibility for all of our youth. We'll be releasing our full 10-year retrospective report soon with calls to action and ways to get involved. Stay tuned by following @STL Change on social media and find us online at forwardthroughferguson.org. It's time for unflinching progress towards racial equity.